Do you need to apply for a planning permit? Or have you received a letter notifying you of a current planning permit application in your neighbourhood? Either way, we know the process can often be daunting, but we are here to help you navigate the application process. A significant part of planning permit process is to provide everyone affected by the proposed development with an opportunity to have their say. This process ensures that council can make an informed decision on applicants. To help you better understand the process, I'm going to go right back to basics. The Victorian Government is responsible for establishing the planning framework for the state. This is a framework that all applications must meet, and therefore council must follow when making decisions on planning matters in the municipality. The Victorian Government also has a planning framework specifically for Maroondah, the Maroondah Planning Scheme. This outlines a range of regulations that council must follow when reviewing applications. This includes the appropriateness of the development to an area and what the development will be used for, such as housing, business, or industry. These regulations are there to ensure that development is done in a sustainable way while maintaining the landscape, trees, and views that make Maroondah a great place to live. Some of the regulations in the framework are mandatory, while others are used as guidelines, meaning some changes can be made. To find out what planning regulations apply to your land or any land in Maroondah, please visit Council's website. If you're planning on developing your land, there's a process set out by the Victorian Government that you must follow. Council will make the process as simple as possible for you by breaking it down into various steps. Step 1. Research. Before you lodge an application, you should familiarise yourself with the Maroondah Planning Scheme to make sure it's in line with the planning framework. Council officers can meet with you to talk through the plans in a pre-application meeting. It's also important to engage with a professional, like a town planner or an architect, as they'll also be familiar with the planning framework and can help prepare the application or even lodge it on your behalf. Step 2. Lodge your application. Once you have all the information needed for the application, you can finalise the application by submitting it online or at a council service centre. You will be required to pay an application fee at this stage. If a builder or architect is lodging the application on your behalf, they will be legally considered the applicant. So all correspondence will go through them, not you. Step 3. Council will review your application. This process includes checking it against the planning framework to see if it meets all required regulations, making sure they have enough information to assess it, and also referring the application to third parties such as Yarra Valley Water and Vic Rose to see if the application will affect public assets and services. Step 4. Advertising the application. During this step, the surrounding neighbours might be sent a letter advising them of the application, and a sign will be put up on site. This gives everyone affected by the proposed development up to 14 days to provide their feedback and any suggested changes. If council receives any objections, we will work with the applicant and objector to try and resolve the concerns. This may mean changes to the application, but remember, if plans go against the planning framework, minor changes are better than the application being refused, so some compromise may be necessary. Step 5. Formal assessment. During this step, council will assess the application along with all of the collected information. If any objections still remain, council must consider these carefully too. If there are a significant number of objections, council may decide to host a public meeting. These sessions are a chance for planning officers and ward councillors to hear from the applicant and objectors and to try and resolve any issues. The final application and objections received are then assessed under the Maroondah Planning Scheme, with a recommendation included in a planning report. Step 6. Decision. There are 3 possible outcomes for an application. Council will either approve the application, refuse the application, or approve the application with changes. If anyone is unhappy with the council's decision, a 7th step might take place. Step 7. Appeal. Once a decision is made by council, it is final. However, the applicant or objector has the right to appeal council's decision to the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal known as VCAT. This process is undertaken directly with VCAT and has its own timeframe and separate costs. Council will only become involved when it is called to give evidence to defend its decision to the tribunal. So what do you do if you want to object to an application? It is important that you understand the proposal before you make a formal submission against the application. The plans will be available on Council's website, and if you need help understanding the plans, you can make an appointment to discuss the application with a Council officer. To lodge your submission, you can complete an online form or provide a written statement. Your objection must include an explanation of how you would be affected if the permit was approved, and how your concerns could be addressed while still keeping within the planning guidelines. So, now you should have a better understanding of the planning permit process. Remember, to give your application the best chance of success, you should carefully consider the planning framework and Maroondah planning scheme when designing your development. Get professional help to develop your plans and application. Talk to your neighbours about your ideas early in the process. Submit a thorough application. Be responsive to Council's requests along the way. Be open to negotiation and compromise. As an objector, to give your concerns the best chance of being resolved, you should focus on the quality of your objection, not the quantity of objections. Clearly identify how you will be affected by the proposed development. Refer to the planning framework and Maroondah planning scheme. Suggest solutions to your concerns. Participate in a planning consultation meeting if held. Be open to negotiation and compromise. It's important to remember Council is here to listen to everyone's voice before making a decision. If you still have any questions on the application or objection process, please speak to a planning officer.